Hello everyone, hope you're right. In today's video I'm going to show you how my garden is doing towards the end of June. So summer has started officially and you can see the garden is flourishing and summer flowering plants are coming into bloom. Things are looking promising and I'm really happy with how my garden is turning out. We have got nice weather going on for a week now. Earlier it rained and rained and rained and it was really cold all spring. So I didn't have much hope. But now thankfully towards the end of June it's starting to get warmer. And you can see the plants are loving the warm weather, sunshine. Here's my jasmine vine and it's in third year. So this year it is sending out new growth crazy and it is making its way up this arch. Here is my grapevine. This one is a bit behind the other one. The other one has got lots more growth going on. Hopefully next year there will be both covering the archway. And on this side of archway I had anemones which are done now, some soft-sown pansies, and I started some plants from seeds which were meant to be Najala, but it turned out this is kind of poppy, African poppy. Well, I don't mind. They are looking good anyway. There are some alliums. So alliums are starting to fade now and the annuals which were here are starting to fade as well. But I'm not very keen now to plant new things and for the garden to look nice and full all the time. Here's my rose vine and it is starting to bloom. There are a couple of blooms and you can see how beautiful and big they are. So this one is pretty big. They start like reddish peach color and once they open they turn lighter pink and as they age they turn more pinkish and white. This is the grapevine in its third year and you can see it is much more full now the other one. And here I had ranunculus which are done, self-sown pansies which are still going okay. So basically in UK weather I like growing pansies. They are kind of perennial for us. They self-sow and they come back every year and they bloom for quite a long time from spring to late summer because the weather is not very warm here. It stays like around 20 degrees, which pansies like. So my strawberries have started to produce already, so I had harvested a few. So last year I planted all these from runners. So last year we didn't have much harvest, but this year it looks promising that we will have good harvest of strawberries. This is June bearing variety and they produce all their fruit in June and then they start producing runners which you can use to get new strawberry plants. And I have got a video on my channel where I have showed how you can start new strawberry plants for free. So like 4 or 5 years ago I got 1 or 2 strawberry plants and since then I have got hundreds of free strawberry plants. So here is my new look of the garden. So basically it was a lawn which I removed because my lawnmower broke down due to the rain and wet weather. So I have replaced the lawn with rocks now and I'm loving this look. My box plants are doing really well. You can see they have put on lots of growth. So last year I planted them as small plug plants and they are already 4 times in their size. Here in this raised bed I have got tomatoes and lilac is done. It was really beautiful earlier in June with its fragrant big blooms and now it's done. So it's good time to prune it now before it sets up the flowers for the next year. So tomatoes are looking okay. I'm not really hopeful for the harvest because my garden is quite shady and last year I didn't get much and this year I'm just using the seeds which I had. Next year I may not grow many vegetables and you can see these garden peas, they are doing good, and some chili plants which are planted, they are not looking good. And my stone pathway is absolutely beautiful. I love these pathway which maneuvers around the garden beds and the garden bed is starting to fill now. Some plants are doing really well. You can see lupins. Earlier they were so beautiful and magnificent. They are starting to go to seed now. This one is from last year and I have planted another one this year. I really love this erysimum. This is so big and beautiful. I planted it last year as a small plug plant and it's already grown huge, and foxgloves are subsown, and my acer tree is absolutely magnificent. I really love it, and I'm so thankful for whoever planted all these beautiful trees and shrubs around the garden. They provide such a good privacy and color and interest throughout the year. My hydrangea with white blooms. So first time I planted hydrangea with white flowers, and I really love it. I don't know exact variety. I got them as white, red, pink and blue from Tesco last year, and this one is doing really well. And you can see the hostas coming back. I really love the hostas. They are still small because I planted them last year. Look at this cluster of flowers, how big it is. I really love it. So I'm really loving this white one. And of course there are weeds growing here there, which I keep pulling off when I come out here. And this one is, pushed down due to weight. So hopefully in 1 or 2 years this will be even bigger and beautiful. And my apple tree, small one which I brought from last year, is loaded with apples. Hellebores are done now, and earlier in spring they looked really beautiful, and so does this bleeding heart. They are done now. So this bay laurel, last year I pruned it hard and I wanted to grow in a tree form. It's doing its thing and looking good. Here in this trellis I got a clematis, which I'm trying to train off this trellis, but it is still small, so will take some time. Hukra bed is looking marvelous. I brought all these hukra plants with me from my previous garden, and they were really small, and now they have grown a huge. Look at these apple trees. They were already here when we moved into this house, and last year we did not get much harvest, but this year they are loaded. They are so loaded, and I really pruned them hard this winter. I took down so many branches and they are still loaded. And this pyrus is done for spring now, and there are alliums still going on. Some of them are faded, some are still going on. This is another hydrangea, the pink or red one, and this plant I'm really struggling. Something has been eating on it, and now it has started to bud up. Let's see what is it. And my fuchsia, earlier it suffered a lot due to the frost and cold winter, but it's coming back now. Azalea is doing really good. And in this container I planted this perennial plant. I can't really remember its name, but I'm liking its look. I may shift it in the garden bed and plant something else in the container. Red robin photonia is looking good. The red growth is mostly gone now, and this is another clematis, and it's making its way up the trellis. This is much ahead than the others, but it hasn't got any blooms yet. And you can see here's my peach tree which I brought with me last year, and it died at the top, but it started producing branches at the bottom, so I let it go. I will see how it does. There's another hydrangea, the pink or red one. They look similar to me anyway. And my plum tree is going crazy. I do need to prune it once the weather is nice and dry for a few weeks. And my amelanchier tree is covered in berries. Earlier in spring it was so beautiful with all these white lovely flowers, and now it's covered in berries. Really good for the birds. You can see this plum tree, it hasn't got much food this year. Last year it had few food, but it's putting on loads of growth. There's another red robin photonia which is much bigger than the other. I have been pruning these plants really hard, but they still grow crazy. So again, to my tomato raised bed and the strawberry raised bed. So I'm really loving the look of my garden. This is a circular garden, and I put a lot of thought in it, and I'm still working on it. So I'm taking my time to see which plants do well, because this garden is quite tricky. It is shady for most of the part. It does get sunshine here and there, so I'm figuring out the spots which love the sun, and I'm slowly planting the plants which love the sunshine and still do well. So overall I'm really loving the look of my garden, and I think it's looking absolutely beautiful. And here are my hanging baskets which I planted with impatiens and ivy vines. They are taking their time to fill up. I know it's easy to go to the garden center and just get the already planted hanging baskets, get lots of annuals and plant them in your garden, and your garden will be nice and beautiful, all of a sudden in just a few days. but I don't like spending too much money because UK weather is very unpredictable. In garden center, the plants look so good and beautiful, but when you bring them to your garden, they may not do well. So you need to understand your garden, your microclimate, and I like to grow things from seeds or plug plants so I can see the process how they are doing. Here are tuberous begonias which I tried to overwinter and I have planted them now, so they are coming back. And this mint container is like 5 years old. It comes back every year. There's another hellebore here in this container. So for containers, I'm going for now evergreen interest. So I'm trying to plant one evergreen in a container, some perennials which will come back like in spring or summer, and some annuals. So I'm slowly trying to take this approach with all my containers. This is blackberry bush and I may replace it this year, so I will give it final year to see how it does. It does not produce much. And kiwi vine, this is absolutely crazy. It is its 5th year now. Last year it produced few berries and they were so delicious. And this year I am hopeful that it will be a really good harvest. I planted some dwarf sunflowers which something is eating on its leaves, but they are still birds, so let's see. And I planted lobelias and marigolds and alizum which I all started from seeds in these containers, so soon they will fill up and look really nice. This is another clematis which is still struggling a lot. I tried to keep it up this trellis, but it keeps going down due to the wind. So you can see I have got hydrangeas, I have got clematis, rose plants, and lots of perennial plants which are doing really well. And I'm trying to grow annuals as well from seeds. So it will take some time, garden doesn't go crazy or look beautiful in few days or few months. It takes time. It's a process. Gardening is a process. You can't just make your garden look beautiful in a couple of days or in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months. You need to understand your garden, your microclimate. You need to give your time and energy to your garden and see which things flourish and which things don't like your climate. It's okay, not everything will do good. So you learn and you replace. So this is my front yard, and this is basically a driveway with few patches and containers. So this was already like this when we moved into this house. There were conifer trees and a bay laurel and all other things I planted myself from plug plants or seeds. So I've got this sedum which is so beautiful. I really love it and it's grown huge already. Lavenders which I brought with me from my previous garden, they are really doing well here in the front yard. Front yard is quite sunny and basically it's east facing, south facing, so it gets a lot of sunshine, so the plants are really thriving here. I have got Vigela, alliums, peonies, and some ground covers like Aubracia and Campanula. This is Echinacea coming back from last year, my cherry tree and standard rose tree. So things are looking really good. They are doing really well. In a couple of years they will be even better. So I'm really loving the look of this patch as well. There is another acer tree which I planted as a small plant last year, and it is growing and it will be huge like the other one in 10 or 15 years maybe. And here on this side I have got some heathers and another racemum. And I planted a magnolia tree this year. So the tree that was here was dead, so I replaced it with magnolia tree. Let's see how it looks. And this euphorbia plant, really beautiful, really beautiful. I really love the look of this plant. So I have got a mix of colors going on here and mix of plants, and I really love the look. In spring I had tulips here which was so beautiful. This plant bloomed in spring with the small daisy looking flowers. It's done now, so I've pruned it. There were Vigela blooming in spring, so I had lots of spring interest. And now the summer plants are coming into bloom, so I have got a really good interest going throughout the year. So here are my containers. I have got some evergreen interest in them, and I have planted them with sunflowers, marigolds, lobelias and begonias. Some of the plants are struggling and some are doing really well. Of course they will take some time to fill up, so it's just the start of summer, so in a couple of weeks they will fill up. These were Aubracia branches. They were getting dead now, so I thought I could multiply them So there is some green growth at the bottom, so I put them here in this hall. Maybe they will root for me. They are not looking so good. And these sunflowers are doing better than the ones in the backyard. Something was eating on them. And my hanging baskets here the same with impatiens and borage and ivy vines. These are much better than the backyard ones because they get more sunshine, so they are filling up fast. Overall, I'm loving the look of my containers. And here on this side we have got another patch with palm tree, and I planted these containers and I planted some perennial plants here as well. So I have got this honeysuckle which I want to train up this palm tree. I planted it last year and this year is producing loads more new growth. And I have got these phlox plants which are coming into bloom. The containers are doing okay. I have got lots going on in them and some alliums here as well. There were tulips earlier, and overall this patch is really beautiful. This palm tree is absolutely magnificent. You know, it bloomed and now it has shed its blooms. Of course it won't produce anything because we are in UK, not in, you know, Middle East, but it still looks so beautiful. And these plants, I'm not sure about what they are. They have a climbing habit to them, so I guess they are vinca, but they could be something else. And this container, I really love it, Hebe. And I have planted this GM here, perennial, and this dianthus is coming back from last year, ivy vine. And I tried to plant some begonias here, but I think they are getting taken on by other plants, so I may move them from here to another container. Another container which I planted like 3-4 years ago with this evergreen plant which I have forgotten the name of, and ivy vine. And I have tulips in here which bloomed earlier, so beautiful, and now they are done. So I planted some begonias and lobelias here which are really struggling. Maybe there's not enough space for them to grow here, so I may replace them with something else. But overall I love the look of this container. My rose vine is looking so beautiful with all these big beautiful pink roses. It's doing crazy and covering the trellis really well. I really love the look of this rose plant or rose vine because it's climbing plant. Another hanging basket, the same plants, but some of them are doing well and some are not. And here in the side street we have got another narrow patch which I tried to plant with ceanothus and hydrangea and rose plant and some perennial plants. Ceanothus bloomed earlier, looking absolutely beautiful, and now the hydrangea is coming into bloom. This is the blue one, so hopefully it stays blue, not turn pink or red after a year or so. This is Esther, Heather. So I got these plants last year as plug plants and I planted them here. They are doing well. This is Yarrow Achillea and it is going crazy. Last year it bloomed so long throughout this summer and it is coming back nice and big this year. And it is multiplying as well, so I may move it into the backyard as well. And here were daffodils and muscadis here which are done now. Rose plant is doing really well. It was supposed to be different kind of rose, but it has the same kind of bloom like the other one. And there's another clematis here which is blooming, and I'm trying to get a trellis for this as well, so I get it climb on the trellis. This plant I'm not sure about what is it. It was already here, so when I was planting all these other plants, it came out of the ground, and giving it time to see what it is. There are lots of weeds going on because it's side street and I didn't get much chance to come here, but I will do something about them. There's camellia which is still small, and I've got phlox, creeping phlox here which is going crazy, covering the whole bed really well. There were morning glory here which are done now, so looking dead, so I need to pull them out as well. Not looking so good. And there's Perlia which I really don't like the look of. Its flower clusters are not very attractive. I planted here to attract butterflies, but I'm not liking this look, and it is showing yellow leaves. Maybe there's a deficiency going on, so I may just take it out from here because there's lots going on. And this dogwood I pruned hard earlier, just took it down to the ground, and it's growing crazy again, and it will be so beautiful in winter, with this shiny red stems. And this is forsythia, which I planted as a small plant last year, and it's going crazy this year, so I do need to prune it to maintain its shape. And I have got some more ground covers here, like sedums, which I want them to cover the side street. This is side street, so people walk by, people park the cars, there are dogs walking around, and children playing and throwing their footballs here. So this is really hard patch to grow something nice, but I still want it to look beautiful, because it's the side of our house, so people drive down our lane, they can see this side first, so I want them to give a nice impression. So I'm still working on it, and I think it's looking good, and with its beautiful rose plants and hydrangeas, thus, and this beautiful achillea. So hopefully in a few years it will be even better. So I'm really loving the look of my garden and flower patches, flower beds, and I'm really proud of what I've achieved so far. I'm still working on. So stay tuned to get updates on how my garden develops. I hope you enjoyed watching this tour of my garden. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye bye.